Adam, what do you know about Marilyn Monroe?
What don't I know? Well, obviously, she's like this huge actress, pin-up, sex symbol. One of those greats that kind of died too young.
Exactly. She's the most famous woman in the world. But Adam, there was a very clear difference between the Marilyn Monroe we saw on screen and the woman she actually was. This was a woman who was deeply troubled, a product of an upbringing marked by profound instability, passed from home to home, and thrust into a world she was just not equipped for.
And so, who was she then?
Marilyn Monroe is completely manufactured, from the way she moves, the way she talks. Adam, she had a stammer.
Oh, really? Wow, I did not know that.
The voice we know is actually a result of years of therapy and practice. A trauma that honestly never fully went away. But she is a pioneer. She brought about real change. But Adam, when every day is a fight, it's only a matter of time before even the mighty begin to lose steam. Welcome to The Compendium, an assembly of fascinating things, a weekly variety podcast that gives you just enough information to stand your ground at any social gathering.
We explore stories from the darker corners of true crime, the hidden gems of history, and the jaw-dropping deeds of extraordinary people.
I'm Kyle Reese, your ringmaster for this week's episode.
And I'm Adam Cox, the annual leave lion replacement officer.
Go on.
Well, as you know, that all lions have to take an annual trip back to Africa.
Oh, like Hajj.
Sure. I don't know what that is, but yeah.
It's like an Islamic pilgrimage back to the epicenter of where like Islam started.
That's exactly right. They're going back to Lion's Rock.
Okay.
And so that means the circus is left without any lions. So I have to round up as many domestic cats as I can. Dress them as lions.
Yeah, because you can get those manes now, can't you?
Yeah, I'd get them off Temu.
Yeah. 2 for 1.
And dress up the cats. And to be honest, the audience, they don't really notice.
Really?
They're dumb.
You've got a cat going, wow.
I just have to feed it some dreamies to get up onto a ramp.
They're going to know, because think about James's meow. It is awful.
Got sound effects, Carl.
Okay, sure.
When they yawn, I just press a button and a big roar comes out.
So as well as having you on the payroll, we also have to extend the responsibilities of the sound effect guy.
Yeah.
To make this plausible.
Yeah. It's only for a couple of months a year. It's fine.
It's a long time that they're away for. Guys, if you are new to the show and you want to support us, then the absolute best way to do that and enjoy exclusive perks is to join us over on Patreon, because signing up is free and you will get access to next week's episode a whole 7 days before anyone else.
And for as little as $5 a month, you can become a fellow freak of the show, which will unlock our entire back catalogue, which you can delve into.
Dabble. Explore.
Experiment.
This is not for me. But Adam, of course, the real reason why people sign up as a certified freak or a big top tier member is that they get exclusive access to something that you cannot get anywhere else unless you go to our website and buy one.
That's right. You don't get it in the Freeman's catalogue.
Yeah, but you get access to our one-of-a-kind compendium keychain. It has become known classically all over the world, like across 2 continents.
Maybe 3.
Maybe 3.
Ancient civilizations have been talking about it for years, centuries, in fact.
They have. And it's called the crotch dangler. And the purpose is that we can always be there, dangling delicately by your crotch.
Yeah, next time you're sitting on the loo, looking down. And lastly, please follow us on your favorite podcast app and leave us a review, because your support helps others find us and keeps these stories in your feed so you don't have to look for us.
Yes, please. And it really helps us because, like, on a Tuesday, because that's our release day, when it arrives, it immediately goes into your downloads.
Yeah.
That helps the algorithm go, wow, so many people are listening to this episode. Let's feature it. So the more people that follow us, the more we get featured. And then the more people that follow the show. Just do it. Adam, that is enough of the housekeeping. Because today on The Compendium, we're diving into an assembly of beauty turned industry, longing turned persona, and fame that always came with a bill.
Interesting. Fame with a price. What fame is not without price? So you could be talking about anyone.
No, I'm talking about someone very specific because it's a big anniversary.
Okay.
Adam, in 1917, 15-year-old Gladys walked down the aisle to marry her Prince Charming, 28-year-old John Baker. After the wedding, the couple, they didn't waste any time getting to work, you know? No television, no Netflix, none of that. So it wasn't long before Gladys had given birth to their second child, Bernice. A little sister to Robert, you could even say.
Mm-hmm.
Gladys, now having a family of her own, realized that this was the happiest that she'd ever been in her entire life. But Adam, very soon the fairy tale started to unwind when John's Prince Charming facade started to slip away and Gladys found herself trapped in a cycle of abuse. So knowing she needed to protect Bernice and Robert, Gladys decided to file for divorce. A big thing for like 1920s, right? It's not something you do on a whim.
Yeah.
What she didn't realize was that this didn't automatically afford her custody of her children. And eventually custody was awarded to John, who promptly packed up her kids and moved them back to his home state of Kentucky. This is a massive loss for Gladys. Like, it leaves a massive gaping hole in the purpose that she had found in her life. And as a result, Gladys ends up slipping into a 2-year depression. But Adam, in 1924, still reeling from the heartache of losing her 2 children, Gladys saw light on the horizon when she met a man named Martin Edward Mortensen. When Martin proposed, Gladys recognized this as a potential second chance to having another family. It's sad because, yes, I get it, but really, this is just putting like a band-aid over the previous loss because she still lost their kids.
Yeah, like I'm guessing she has no access to them or anything like that.
No, nothing. Like, I don't think she has the means to physically go and visit them in Kentucky. But Adam, again, a few months into the marriage, Edward also turned abusive. And so, not long after leaving him, Gladys had fallen right back into that depression. And this also ended up taking a real psychological toll on her too. Her life just felt aimless. She skipped from job to job. She couldn't find happiness or joy in just the day-to-day. Then one morning, soon after a meaningless encounter with her supervisor at her job, working at the RKO studio as a negative film cutter, Gladys woke up to a familiar feeling in her belly.
She's pregnant.
She was pregnant. The father, of course, didn't want anything to do with the baby. And her friends warned her that without the support of her husband, life was going to be difficult. But for Gladys, at this moment in time, it just didn't matter. For the first time in years, she felt a sense of true happiness. And so, on the 1st of June, 1926, 100 years ago to the day, Gladys gave birth to a healthy baby girl that she named Norma Jean.
Ah, okay.
Today on the Compendium, Adam, I'm going to tell you about the incredible story of Marilyn Monroe.
Wow.
What do you know about Marilyn Monroe?
Well, what don't I know? Quite a lot, actually.
Go on. Oh, okay.
Obviously, she's like this huge actress, pin-up, sex symbol. One of those greats that kind of died too young.
Yes.
But yeah, she was one of the biggest movie stars and models ever, really. She's got this whole legacy. So she's in a lot of movies known. She played that dumb blonde in a lot of her music.
Yeah, she was very much typecast, wasn't she?
Yeah, I think early on in her career, but there was a couple of breakout roles she had towards the end, but then she sadly died.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she's a legend, really.
That is the thing. She is a massive legend. And this is also a massive anniversary. This is going to be 100 years to the day that she was born. And so I thought, let's actually celebrate this brilliant icon. And actually, I had so many preconceived ideas of who she was as an actress. And I honestly didn't think she was very good in my mind. I just thought, yes, she was a blonde bombshell. She was typecast as this, and she was gorgeous. Mm-hmm. But I was like, as an actress, was she any good? And in my mind, I didn't really get the sense that she was very good.
I think because a lot of her roles were that kind of ditzy blonde character. I think she probably developed those acting chops as time went on. But I think early on, she probably...
Did you call them acting chops?
Yeah.
My acting chops.
Yeah, that's what they call them, your acting chops.
What is that?
Well, they're different to your cleaning chops, your DIY chops, your acting chops. It's a term.
Yeah, but what's a chop?
I don't know.
Okay, chops or acting chops. But yes, exactly. And I think it's because of that association with being the blonde bombshell, if you will, that just people assume that she wasn't very good, but she did have a reputation of not being great.
Yes. And also, she wasn't even blonde.
Oh, so you do know quite a lot about her.
I know a little bit about her.
Wrap the story up.
Okay, and we're done.
No, there is a lot of stuff about her life that are just so fascinating to me and a lot of surprising things. But also, she is a pioneer of the film industry. When we think about like the old classic Hollywood studio system and how it operated back then, they were very much in control of the actors and the stars. But actually, as time went on, a lot of them started to negotiate better contracts, better pay, more freedom away from the studio to be able to work on other projects. And she actually was one of the people that actually pioneered that movement.
Oh, really? Yeah, because at the time, or at least like the 40s and 50s, if you were an actor, you were tied to a studio to do X amount of films. You're either with Warner Brothers or Fox or whatever it was. But it's just completely different now. Now you like jump ship all the time, right?
Exactly. And it was her that actually helped really pioneer that. But they treated her like dirt.
Really?
And it's such an incredible story. And I'm really excited to dive into it.
Okay.
But before we do, I want to fill in a little bit more gaps about Norma Jean's early life. Because actually, Adam, it really gives us an indication of who she was, the pain that she carried with her, but also how ill-equipped she was for the movie business. She has just been born, and it is fair to say, Adam, that at this point in history, Gladys's friends are completely right. Having Norma out of wedlock is going to be difficult, especially given Gladys's financial situation and her already fragile mental health. It is almost impossible for her to work and care for a baby at the same time, and the strain only makes that mental health even worse. And so as a result, Norma Jean ends up being placed into the foster care system with a couple named Albert and Ida in a small rural town of Hawthorne. It's about 30 minutes away from LA. But really interestingly, though, Albert and Ida, they are also fostering Gladys.
What? The mother?
Yeah, she moves in with them. And the aim here is for them to support her while Gladys is trying to raise Norma. So I think it's actually quite an interesting setup. I don't know why we don't have something like that today where you also foster the mother and you support her raising the kid.
That makes a lot of sense.
It does!
I guess you need the room to obviously do that with two people.
Yes.
But it feels like you've got like an outhouse. That's perfect way to do it.
Perfect, yes. And so for work, Gladys would commute to LA every day. It's about 30 minutes, but for whatever reason, the journey is very, very difficult. It might be down to like the public transport that's available or the infrastructure. I'm not sure. And so in 1927, because of the difficulty of commuting, Gladys actually decides that she's going to move to LA. And so she leaves Norma in the full-time care of Albert and Ida. And of course, she'll come back to Hawthorne on the weekends and visit on holidays. And by all accounts, she does try her best to be a very good mum. After all, this is something that she has wanted for so long, right? Because whenever she is in Hawthorne, she always plans activities, days out with Norma. She's a really doting mother, but circumstance and her mental health means that she can't be the mother that she really wants to be.
Yeah.
But Adam, for a time, this does pay off. Because by 1933, she has finally saved enough money to support Norma independently. She buys a small house in Hollywood, and for about a year, things really do look blissful. But then Gladys's mental health takes another turn, and she's eventually diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. And as a result, she's eventually committed to a psychiatric hospital.
That means Norma's taken away or again put back into foster care.
Yeah, that's it. The thing is, though, Albert and Ida, they can't look after Norma Jean on their own. Like, they could support Gladys in raising her, but they can't do it for her. And so Gladys's friend, Grace McKee Goddard, she offers to take Norma in and care for her. The original arrangement was that it would just be temporary, but when it's clear that Gladys will need long-term hospitalization, Grace has no choice but to place Norma into the foster care system. And Adam, the next few years are going to be rough. She's moved around constantly. She's constantly changing schools. There's no stability or a constant caregiver. And so for all intents and purposes, she feels extremely alone in her life. And what is really sad is that because of the grief of losing Bernice and Robert, Gladys does not actually tell Norma that she has siblings.
Oh, really?
It's not until she is 12 years old that she finally finds out. But by then, she finds out that Robert has actually already died.
Oh, that's sad.
And as for Bernice, while she knows she exists, they don't actually meet up until they're both like adults. And so it's really sad that she grows up feeling the sense of loneliness, where perhaps if she knew about her siblings, maybe things would be different. I'm not saying that maybe she could have gone to Kentucky. That might not be an option, but she wouldn't have felt alone in this world. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, she would have felt like she had other family, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so after Grace places her in the foster care system, Norma is matched with the Atkinson family. Adam, it's horrible because the father starts sexually abusing her.
Oh, really?
And as a result, she becomes extremely withdrawn and shy. Like, you had this kid who was like, do you know what? I don't have the best start in life, but I'm confident. I've got this wonder, but that sexual abuse is one thing that transforms her into this really shy, withdrawn type of kid.
And that's crazy because I guess, did they not have the same sort of welfare or checks at that point?
The system does find out. And Norma is taken away again. And again, that just adds to the instability of her formative years. But the thing is, because of this abuse, as well as the withdrawal and the shyness, she actually loses all of her childhood confidence, so much so that she develops a stammer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is really interesting because Marilyn Monroe is known for her voice, right? It's almost as iconic as her image herself, right?
Yeah.
Like, just think of that really famous rendition of Happy Birthday that she sings to JFK. And in film, she speaks in that breathy tone. Do you know what I mean? It's really seductive and it's alluring.
Yeah.
So it's really strange to imagine her with the stammer. But it is a really bad stammer.
I'm guessing that's something she overcame later.
Yes.
But...
the voice that we actually know of her today is actually a result of years of therapy and practice.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, just as her career is taken off, the studio that takes her on sends her to speech therapy where they teach her the onset method, where she is taught to speak with this breathy phrasing, starting sentences with like soft H sounds. This is meant to relax the vocal cords and prevent like stammer blocks, and it really works. This is how she ends up with that iconic voice that becomes her signature.
No way. So you've got all these actresses with stammers. They're all speaking like this in Hollywood.
Who else has got a stammer?
I don't know. But anyone that's speaking with a breathy voice, I think we can now safely say.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So, yeah, and this was at the time was a proven technique to help with that as well. Eventually, Adam, of course, as I said, it comes out that the Atkinson dad was abusing her. And so the state removes her and they actually send her to an orphanage. It is here that one of the staff members thinks that she'll be better off living with a family. Isn't every child better off living with a family? Well, why her? Why do they go, yeah, let's put her with a family? What about the others?
The rest of them can fend for themselves.
Yeah. Do you remember Stuart Little when they go to the orphanage and they're looking for a kid to adopt and none of the kids are good enough, but a mouse is?
Yeah, I never thought of it like that.
It's so bad.
No, isn't it because he's all like alone and...
But what about the other kids?
Yeah, but he's furry.
So what you're saying...
I like a hairy child.
So Marilyn Monroe is furry. Anyway, the staffer reaches back out to Grace and they negotiate that her and her husband, Doc, become Norma's legal guardians. But Adam, sadly, after this, Doc starts sexually abusing her.
Oh my God, again?
Yeah, it's awful. Luckily, Grace ends up losing her job, which means that they can't afford to support Norma at all. And so they send her to live with Grace's elderly aunt, a woman called Anna Atkinson Lower. And to be honest, it is here that for a few years, she really does find stability. She's no longer being molested. She has a solid routine. Anna is really kind to her. She ends up enrolling in school where she stays long enough to actually make friends and build connections. But Adam, at school, she is not great. And don't hold that against her because it's not surprising, right? Like, she's constantly moved around. She is constantly cycling different schools. She never really finishes a curriculum anywhere. But under Anna's care, one of the areas where she really excels in is writing, of all things.
So how old is she at this point then?
So at this point, she's maybe just under 12.
So at this age, she's obviously been abused twice, or by two people. It might have been more than that, obviously. And she's been shipped around all these different places.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I kind of lost count, but it sounded like a lot by the time you're 12.
Yeah.
That is quite an upbringing.
It is. And it's not even over yet. Like, she's only 12. It's gonna get worse.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's not great. And the way that she applies that is she gets involved in the school newspaper, she makes good friends, and basically the point is she settles in. But Anna is already old when Norma first goes to live with her. And so when she's around 12 years old, Anna's health starts to deteriorate. And Anna sends her straight back to living with Grace and Doc,
Oh, God.
where, of course, Doc continues to abuse her.
No, so it's not reported then. He's not like
He's
put
a
away.
legal guardian at this point.
Does the wife know then, Grace?
I honestly don't know. The point is, it's messed up, isn't it?
Yeah.
However, she is presented a little bit of a lifeline when, at around 16 years old in 1942, Doc is relocated to West Virginia for work. But because of California's child protection rules at the time, she's not actually allowed to go with them because she's not allowed to leave the state, because she's essentially a warden of the state. They're the legal guardians, but ultimately she belongs to the state.
That's a weird way to think of it.
Yeah, it is odd, isn't it? The only option is for her at this moment in time to go back to the orphanage, which honestly sounds like the better option for her. But of course, Norma does not want to go back there. And so she marries her next door neighbor.
Just so that she can, stay or move? Or
So she can stay, yeah, so she doesn't have to go back to the orphanage. So he's 21 years old at the time. His name is James Doherty. I don't think she likes him. You definitely get that sense. She doesn't love him, but also she doesn't want to go back to the orphanage.
is she just, hey, can you do me a solid?
I think so. I get the sense that there is a degree of that. Because soon after they get married, obviously Doc disappears, Grace disappears, and she decides to drop out of school and she's going to become a housewife, which is weird to think of Marilyn Monroe as a housewife.
Yeah.
She's just too much of a star. Like, you just look at her, you can't think, if you saw her in a street, you'd be like, that woman is not a suburban mum.
I don't think she was like bleach blonde at this point and wearing a white dress.
No, 100% correct. And we'll get into that. And she does say, she is on the record of saying, like, marriage doesn't make me sad, but also it doesn't really make me happy. The biggest bugbear for her is that she and James just hardly ever spoke to each other. And it's not because he was abusive or anything. She says it was because he was basically mind-numbingly boring. Like, she had nothing in common with him.
Wow. Well, I guess it does sound transactional, or he's a bit of a lifeline to get out of the situation she was in.
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the way he sees it is that he is her wife and he expects her to, like, serve a duty.
Cook and clean.
Exactly. Luckily for her, after 2 years of marriage, when she is 18, James is enlisted into the Merchant Marines and he goes off on tour. Norma ends up living with his parents. And of course, to earn a living, she gets a job in a munitions factory, which is basically like making weapons and cars and fitting propellers to things and stuff like that.
So she's there with pistols and like machine guns and like rocket launchers.
I think so. And it's this job, actually, Adam, that ends up transforming her entire life. This is the point in which Norma Jean emerges as Marilyn Monroe.
Okay, in what way?
Well, before we get into that, crazy fucking upbringing though, eh?
Yeah, like, I don't know how much this plays a part later in life and like dealing with this like trauma.
Adam, why would I have even mentioned this bit if it wasn't a very, very crucial part in shaping who she was?
I don't know how this played a part, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, I'm going to tell you. Hence why I mentioned it.
Okay.
So it's actually while she's working in this munitions factory with the pistols and the shotguns that a guy called David Conover, a photographer from the US Army Air Forces, is sent to take some morale-boosting photographs of some of the female workers. He basically sees Norma and he is immediately captivated by her beauty. And so for most of the shoot, he is her main focus. He poses her fitting like a propeller to an airplane or like leaning into like the hood of an engine.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And the pictures are really striking. Their purpose is a sort of wartime propaganda to show a more glamorous side of doing their part for the war effort and stuff like that.
I see.
And also, when you see these images, Adam, as you said earlier on, Norma is completely unrecognizable as Marilyn Monroe. And I'm not even saying like you can see a glimmer of Marilyn Monroe in it. It is a different person as far as I'm concerned. She has a much fuller face, less chiseled. She has this sort of like shoulder length, curly, like really thick brown hair.
I think I've seen those images before, and it's almost like she's still young. She's still got that kind of puppy fat kind of thing. She's still innocent. I can understand that, but it's interesting that she's been chosen to be this morale booster for the men.
Yeah, I mean, she is really attractive, but she is not Marilyn Monroe at this point. Technically, she's Norma Jean. And what is funny is that even though most of the photos David takes are of Norma, he doesn't actually use any of them for their purpose.
What does he use them for?
Just for himself.
Oh.
Yeah. And not in a creepy way. Like, he is really captivated by her beauty, right? On the side, yes, he works for the US Army, but he's also a photographer in his own right. And he thinks, wow, like, she is stunning.
Just a good model sort of thing.
Yeah. Later on, he invites her to do a few more personal shoots for him, which he then shows off to his inner circle of friends. And one of those friends is a guy called Potter Huth. he starts shooting her too. And is like, this chick has modeling talent. And before long, it becomes official when she is signed to the Blue Book Modeling Agency. And most of the work that she is booked on is not really fashiony stuff. It's mostly kind of men's magazines on account of like her fuller shape. Like she's very curvy. As you said, she's got that classic pin-up curvature to her body. And that is why she does really well for men magazines. And Adam, she cleans up. In her first year of modeling, she lands 33 magazine covers.
Wow.
That is just the covers, right?
That's like one every week, pretty much.
Yeah, it is mental. And so the agency owner, a woman called Emmeline Snively. These names are crazy.
It feels like you've made a lot of them up.
Yeah, they are just mental. Emmeline Snively. She thinks that Norma might do well in films. And so she starts putting the feelers out to a few studios. Straight away, Paramount, they say no. Apparently their words were that she just wasn't bankable. Emmeline then approaches 20th Century Fox. Again, Adam, they are not convinced, but they do think that there might be something there, but they just can't work out what it exactly is. They initially say no, but what tips them over the line is the thought that another studio might spot whatever it is that they cannot spot, turn her into a star, and then they've lost out on an opportunity.
Yeah, so it's one of those things like, is it better just to, and don't they do this with a lot of musicians as well? Just sign them, get them on the books, but you might not necessarily progress them.
Yeah, but it's also to potentially keep them on the shelf. A lot of the time, nothing ever happens with them because they never figure out how to turn them into a star.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what's happening here.
So she gets a film contract, but no films.
Well, she gets a couple things. They test her out. And so more than anything is basically just to get her off the market. They do offer her a 6-month contract. Let's just see what we can do with this chick. She is assigned to executive Ben Lyon to shape her image. The first thing he does is like, we have to get rid of your name.
Norma.
Yeah, Norma is not the name of a Hollywood star. And so he looks at her for a second. She reminds him of a Broadway star called Marilyn Miller. And so he's like, your new name is Marilyn. And Norma's, but what about my last name? And as he's walking out the door, he's like, bore someone else with your questions.
Oh, really?
And so Norma picks her own last name and she picks her mother's maiden name. And so Norma Mortensen becomes Marilyn Monroe.
Ah, okay.
That is how she does it.
I didn't realize Monroe was her mother's maiden name.
Yes, yes, that is it. But the studio still has a lot of work to do because, Adam, one of the reasons why they're not sure Marilyn is going to work is that in spite of her crazy beauty, is that she is incredibly shy. But Adam, she also has a pretty bad stammer. And as you can imagine, that's not exactly going to go hand in hand with motion pictures.
No.
It's weird that they even considered signing her. I forgot about the stammer completely.
Did she just not speak the whole time?
Yeah. But also, this is how incredibly beautiful she must be for them to be in front of them and to go, okay, this is motion pictures. Your voice is very important. You have a stammer, but you're so beautiful. We think that we can help you overcome your stammer.
Yeah. But then I guess you don't necessarily have to be the best at a specific skill. You just need to have this look or X factor or something different that stands out.
Yeah. One of the craziest things is that they don't see something that is really powerful. And that is that she has a presence on screen that only becomes apparent after they start casting her in films where people are like, shit, who is that chick? And she's got like one line. And that's the thing that endures for her entire career is that on-screen presence.
Yeah.
So Ben comes in again, Ben Lyon, and he's basically like, right, we've got a lot of work to do here. He books her into acting classes. He sends her to a singing coach. He brings in choreographers to teach her how to dance. She doesn't know any of this at the moment. And of course, he sends her to speech therapy to help get her stammer under control. And like I said, it works. Like they teach her the onset method to speak really breathy. She masters that over time.
Does she completely lose the stammer then? Because I've never heard her in an interview with a stammer.
No, I've never heard her. She must have overcome it. But then at the same time, what she never loses is that shyness, right? The fact is, this woman is completely ill-equipped to be working in the film industry when you consider what is demanded of you and how you're treated.
And her whole background, right? Because I almost already forgot, like, actually how traumatic that was. And yet she's going to be put on stage to do this, that, and the other on show.
And you think about, like, Princess Diana and how, like, people will just look at her and go, wow, she's got this aura about her. She's infectious. People want to be in her orbit. But more than anything, Diana just wants to get away from that. She wants to lock herself away at home with beans and toast watching EastEnders. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a product of her childhood. It's a product of what she's been through. So it's weird that people would find themselves in an industry that they're just completely ill-equipped for. And we've seen it with so many people as we've gotten to know them on the show, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so her first film roles are, of course, really tiny while they test her potential. Her first is actually a 9-line part as a waitress in the 1947 drama titled Dangerous Years, where I imagine because this is your first role, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I totally imagine she does like a Phoebe Buffet.
I was just thinking that I will get you your eye patch or whatever it was.
Yeah. When she gets her part as an extra on Days of Our Lives and Joey convinces her, like, what you need is a backstory. Even though, like, she's just a waitress, right?
Yeah.
With no lines. So she comes up with the backstory of how Joey had slept with her, but never called. And that's why, like, she walks past him as a server while he's in the middle of a scene, hits him on the head. She's like, I just wanted a new daddy for the kids. That's how I imagine Marilyn Monroe in this moment. Like, desperate to kind of, like, stand out, do you know what I mean? Because she's only got nine lines.
Yeah. Although I guess 9 lines for a first gig, that's not bad, right?
Yeah. It's not bad. Her next film is just 2 words that she gets. And the film is called Scudder-ho, Scudder-hey.
Why was that so difficult for you to say? No. You didn't know how many outtakes just then?
I couldn't say it. I could say it in my brain and it was really funny. But what a weird title.
And what was it about?
Well, but it's a rural romantic comedy drama about like rival families. Honestly, like, I don't see how most of the films that she stars in like relates to the plot title. Is it something that people can always say? I don't know.
I think a lot of the time, those movies back then, there would always be like these slogans and stuff like that. So it was quite common.
You can definitely see the transition in her later films, how the film slowly starts to connect to the actual plot of the film. But at this moment in time, Dangerous Years or like Scudder-hoo, Scudder-hey, like, what does that even mean? It's just so dumb. But like I said, it's a rural romantic comedy about these rival families. And her only line is literally, "Hi, Red." That's it. She's walking out the church and she sees someone and like she walks past the camera and she's like, "Oh, hi, Red." And that's it.
I wonder how many times she practiced that.
Yeah. I need a backstory. It's around about this time that Marilyn Monroe decides that she is going to divorce James. Remember, she's married.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
A neighbor. A boring neighbor.
And it's because he is outraged that she has been modeling and has now landed a contract for a film studio. And he's like, what?
You should be at home in the kitchen.
Yeah, so when did this happen?
Well, it doesn't sound like he was the best for her anyway.
Oh, yeah, no. Like, the divorce is an easy decision for Marilyn. She only marries him, as we know, to escape the orphanage. Mm-hmm. Plus, he's like a super boring guy. Like, she feared that she might have killed him if they stayed married.
Yeah, I mean, she's now on movie sets, like this exciting life sort of thing. Of course, she's going to be drawn to that.
Yeah. And so over the next 6 months, she serves out her contract. She thinks she's done a really great job. But at the renewal, 20th Century Fox are like, nope, you haven't got a kid. And so they drop her. She's devastated. She's just divorced her husband. And now she doesn't have a job.
Yeah, that's not good.
No. Her only option really is to go back to modeling, which she is cleaning up on, right? She's made some decent money on it, but she is determined to make it specifically in Hollywood.
Has she got like a taste for it now, sort of thing?
It's exactly that. Literally what I wrote down. It's because she has been given that taste now, comma, right? Question mark. That's what I wrote.
Thanks for clarifying.
Anyway, so she starts taking up some acting classes on her own dime. Like, she is smart as well. Like, she keeps her contacts at Fox very close. And that's one of the things that I love about her, is that she knows how to spin an opportunity, right? People all around her are using her and taking advantage of her, but she is also doing the same in a way that is very uniquely Marilyn Monroe. She basically gets to know one of the execs at Fox. He's a guy called Joseph Schneck, and he's very interested in her at the time. I don't think that really much happens at first, but once she is dropped from Fox, Marilyn basically turns him into her occasional sex idiot.
Okay.
Sleeping with him basically just enough to keep herself in the forefront of his mind, but not so much that he loses interest.
Oh, okay. So it's just teasing him enough. And what, in case there's going to be some work coming up, or?
Exactly. It pays off because in 1948, Joseph Schneck persuades his mate, the head of Columbia Pictures, Harry Cohn, to sign her. And at first, Harry is like, I don't know, man. I don't think she's got it. But Joseph is like, no. She's like a real rough diamond. All you need to do is polish her. And so he signs her, and she is now back in the movie business. And it's all because, like, she's taking advantage of them just as much as they're taking advantage of her.
Well, you got to play the game, right?
100%. And she knows, and she's doing it on her terms, which I like.
Yeah, which I'm not saying is right or it's the right is fair.
Hey, she's comfortable with it. It is on her terms, and that's what she wants to do.
But it's a shame that she has to do that. But yes, she's not being coerced.
No, exactly. I'm sure there's probably a bit of coercion there, but it doesn't feature too much in the story. And again, like working for Columbia, she's okay. She's not great. Harry, again, decides that he needs to assign her to the studio's head drama coach. She's a woman called Natasha Lytess. And she ends up becoming a hugely important figure in Marilyn's life over the next decade. It's Natasha that actually helps her really hone Marilyn's kind of sexuality, like how to walk seductively, how to find her angles, especially in her face. One of the pushbacks that Marilyn actually gets is that they don't like her nose and that her jaw isn't the right shape.
What?
Yeah. But Natasha is like, you just need to know how to find your angles in like the most flattering way. And you can actually see this in a lot of her photos, especially the head and shoulder shots. Marilyn often lifts her chin, she angles one cheek slightly forward, and she looks down on the camera. And this basically acts to soften the line of her jaw and gives her like a more innocent look.
Oh, interesting. Because I would have never, I don't think she has full stop got like a big jaw or big nose or anything like that. But that's interesting because when I think back of her photos, she is always putting the same expression a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm. There is a reason why you look at Marilyn Monroe and you go, she doesn't have a big nose and she doesn't have a big jaw.
It's because she doesn't.
We'll get to it.
Okay.
But also, Natasha is one of the early pioneers of teaching something called the method technique.
Oh, method acting.
Yes. Yeah, we know actors today like Christian Bale and Jared Leto, this idea that you channel and emphasize sensory memories of the character to influence your on-screen presence, basically. She passes that on to Marilyn. So Marilyn Monroe was a method actress.
And what is she... what is she channeling? Because
her childhood and her pain.
Oh.
Yeah, we quickly forgot about that, didn't you?
Yeah, okay. All right, wow.
And so I read over the next 10 years, Natasha becomes Marilyn's primary coach across more than 20 films, which is crazy. Like, she is on set with her across all of her films. But she isn't just her acting coach because she also actually becomes a kind of an emotional support for her too. And people notice this. Marilyn gets a ton of heat for it because whenever the director would yell cut, you would see Marilyn immediately look to Natasha for like her nod of approval. And it's because she is never able to shake that childhood trauma. Like, she's got this extreme amount of anxiety. She never develops a sense of belief that she's actually good. And so she does become really dependent on her acting coaches like Natasha.
So she's seeking kind of approval because she has no confidence herself.
It's sad. Like I said, she is in the wrong business, right? Especially when you have a lot of these hang-ups.
Yeah, I mean, show business is not an easy business. You need to have a thick skin, right?
Yeah. And the way it ends with Natasha is also really sad. Like I said, rumors start circulating that Marilyn is obsessed with her. And professionally, it starts to look bad on her, especially having this emotional support figure on set at all times. And so Marilyn sends her a telegram and she fires her. And she does not want to do that, but she has to.
A telegram? Could she not like meet her face to face?
Yeah, exactly.
If she's such a big part of her life and dealing with this, then how is she going to cope now anyway?
I guess she's going to find a new acting coach, basically. And so at Columbia, the only film that she is cast in is basically a low-budget musical called Ladies of the Chorus. It isn't a starring role. She plays a chorus girl dating a rich guy. I mean, that's quite the theme here as well. She's always playing that kind of typecast role. However, when it is released, it bombs. And so Columbia decides that they're not going to renew her contract. But the important thing is that it's during this filming that she starts up an affair with her vocal coach, a guy called Fred Karger. He is actually instrumental in shaping Marilyn Monroe into the Marilyn Monroe that we know today. And I'm talking physically. He is such an asshole because he will routinely point out all of her flaws. Like, he'll be like, your nose is too big, your jaw is not angular enough. Like, how dare you? For one, you're a vocal coach. What's that got to do with singing? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Critiquing the way that she looks. And this is shit because, remember, this is just before this film bombs. And so when Columbia drops her, there is a part of her that is convinced it's because of the way she looks.
Yeah.
It is so awful. And so she agrees to let Fred pay to kind of fix some of these things. And she undergoes surgery to have her overbite corrected.
Oh, really? So I didn't realize she had cosmetic surgery?
It's cosmetic surgery, and this is not the first. This is why she doesn't look like Marilyn Monroe that we know today.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. Marilyn Monroe is completely manufactured from the way she moves, the way she talks, her hair, her voice, her physical face. It's all made by the studio.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, isn't that shocking?
Yeah, I know she had a stage name for one. And yes, I know, you dye your hair, you get a look, right? But I didn't realize she underwent surgery and then there's this whole persona.
Yeah, that's it. So the first thing that she gets corrected is this overbite. And so now that Columbia has sacked her, she is, of course, back to modeling. But it's here that she ends up becoming the protege of the vice president of the agency, a guy called Johnny Hyde. He's another very instrumental guy, especially in shaping how she looks.
Isn't it crazy that she's a successful model and she looks absolutely fine for that? But for movies, not the right look.
That is the thing here. Is she goes to all these surgeries and then she breaks through. And the people are like, see, I told you. But that's not the case. And we'll get to it in a minute because I'm so angry about it. And I don't want to say anything about it until we get there.
Okay. Fine.
So now she's, of course, back to modeling. Anyway, their relationship becomes sexual. For Marilyn Monroe, at least, right? Johnny, however, he's madly in love with her. So much so that there's a period of time where all he does is just badgers her to marry him multiple times. And it just feels like just such a thing that men do in the 50s, where men just don't get the hint that women just aren't interested when a woman says no the first time.
But is she just using him or is it just a bit of fun? It's casual for her, sort of
Yeah,
thing?
she just doesn't want to marry him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But he will not take no for an answer. It almost becomes like a challenge where they constantly end up asking the same woman to marry them until they essentially wear them down.
20 no's mean a yes.
Yes, exactly. That's what I wrote here as well. It reminds me of the Family Guy skit with James Bond as Sean Connery. Yeah, where James Bond grabs that Bond girl and she's like, no, James. And he's like, yes. And she's like, no. And he's like, yes. And it just goes back and forth for ages and ages. And then
until she gives in.
And then eventually he's like, yes. And she's like, okay. Johnny is also a bit of a shitbag, though. Not because he's constantly asking her to marry her. She never says yes, by the way. But he's just constantly pointing out all of her flaws. And he keeps reminding her that if she wants to make it big in Hollywood, then she's going to have to get that sorted out. Like her nose, her jaw, her hairline.
Hairline?
Well. Yes.
What is wrong with her hairline?
It's too low. He wants to push back.
Wow.
And so eventually she agrees to let him pay for her to have a nose job. Mm-hmm. They also install a prosthesis implant inside her jaw as well. Remember, this is the 1950s. I would not be undergoing cosmetic surgery back then. It's too new.
That's what I was thinking. I didn't realize that was even a thing back then.
Yeah. She clearly lucked out because she is stunning. But even looking at some of the cosmetic surgery of people today, based on that, I would not be letting someone in the 1950s do my cosmetic surgery.
Yeah, what tools are they using?
Yeah, hacksaw. And so this is the period that really shapes the image we now think of when we think of Marilyn Monroe.
She can't have been the only one, though, right? There must have been so many other movie stars around that time. If the amount of criticism that she's getting for her looks... Mm-hmm. Unjustly. Yeah, there's going to be a hell of a lot more, I suspect.
Yeah, but it is strange to think. And I feel weird about saying this because I don't feel like it's true, but it is true. And maybe there's just a better word for it. But she is completely manufactured from her voice to her confidence to the way that she looks. But when I look at her, Marilyn Monroe, she has this complete authenticity about her, but it is an illusion. And it makes you wonder, is there a difference between who we see Marilyn Monroe on screen versus who she actually is?
Because I feel like Marilyn Monroe, whether she's in a film or whether she's in a TV interview or something like that, is kind of the same. Mm-hmm. So actually, is she just always got this front persona regardless?
Yeah. And I guess, remember, she is in the movie business. It is all about your on-screen presence.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't expect someone to just naturally be like that, right? It's unfair. But yeah. But here's the crazy thing. Once all of this is in place, all the surgeries, the jawline, the nose, the overbites corrected, the hairlines being pushed back, she starts to break through as a star. And the thing is, though, the studios will remind her of that. They'll be like, see, we told you, you get this fixed. This is what happens. But it's not because of those changes, but because unless she played the game, the men controlling the studio are never gonna give her the chance. Do you know what I mean?
I guess if she now looks the part according to them, they're like, oh yeah, now you've sorted it out.
Exactly. But they're saying, now you got this fixed. See, you became a big star. It's not. You didn't open the door until she got those things fixed.
Was there any part of it that actually helped her confidence? Not to say that she wasn't, because you know that she was shy before, but did any of this go, I'm now doing what everyone says, it changed her a little bit?
You got to remember that she's in the situation where she trusts these people and she believes that what they're telling her is correct. And so when she does get these surgeries done, right, there's going to be a part of you that's going to say, well, I've done all these things and they're saying I look great. I now feel confident.
Yeah, almost clicks into place. It's not to say that she couldn't have done that before, but something was holding her back a bit.
And remember, she was an extremely successful model.
And that's the thing, because she was, like you say, very successful. She had all these like magazine deals. Mm-hmm. She clearly is a very pretty, glamorous woman. Why was that not good enough for the movie industry?
It's crazy. It's just because they didn't fit into the typecast or the thing that they envisioned for her. She wasn't bankable in the way that they could see. But she could see a different vision for herself. She could see how she could be bankable in a different way, but they just didn't listen to her.
I imagine a lot of the female roles are probably quite similar. You're either playing a femme fatale or a wife or a girlfriend or whatever. You're not playing, I don't know, these other type of roles that she could have done perhaps.
That will be one of the biggest struggles of her career, is she wants to break out of this typecast. And they just will not give her a chance. And again, the other running theme throughout the story is that these men think that they know best when it comes to how she should look, how she should sound, how she should play a scene. So most of the time, she is just going along with it. But on the rare occasion where she does trust her own instincts, it ends up taking her to a whole new level. So I just find that bizarre. Like, they're like, no, you must do it like this. And when she does that, she coasts. But when she is difficult or she insists on doing it in a particular way, she then elevates all of a sudden to the next level. But it's on her own terms when that happens. And they never recognize that actually, when she does take these risks or goes against the grain, she does something really great.
So, she's almost using her own initiative in a scene or whatever it is.
Exactly. And she develops this real bad reputation for being real difficult. But it's the reason she's able to get her way, because she really trusts her own instincts.
So she knows, okay, I want to play it like this, or I'm going to do it this way, because she knows that she can do it better or whatever it is, and not like a cookie cutter kind of mold that they want her to be in.
Exactly. And so her breakthrough comes in 1950 when she appears in 6 films in that year.
Wow, that's pretty impressive, right? Like,
massive.
Most actors even now are in like maybe 1 or 2.
Yeah. The first of her films is called Asphalt Jungle. Again, one of those stupid titles that I just don't see how it fits into the plot.
Asphalt, as in like fake grass kind of thing?
No, that's AstroTurf. Oh. Asphalt is like the black concrete.
Oh, yes, that's it.
Yeah. She plays basically a young mistress of a criminal. She only gets 5 minutes, but the audience definitely take notice of her. I watched the scene, and Adam, she is sexy, and I get it.
Was there an awakening?
A little bit. I don't know. I couldn't explain it. It's not a sexual thing for me.
There's a charisma.
Yeah, there is definitely something there. And off the back of this film alone, Johnny Hyde, that's the guy he's dating, he manages to negotiate a 7-year contract, again with 20th Century Fox, the same people who originally dropped her.
Oh, really? They're like, oh, we want you back now.
Yeah. One film. He takes that clip and he goes, look at this. And they're like, okay, yeah, Adam.
Look at that jaw.
Yeah. I guess, she's also transformed quite a lot as well.
And also she's probably developed her actual acting ability as well.
Of course. She has come a long way. It's not just about the way she looks. And as we know, the way it worked back then as an actor is that you signed to a studio, which meant that you couldn't work for anyone else. It sounds strange to us now, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. It sounds really okay. But actually, I was thinking about it. It's not too dissimilar. In fact, it's the exact same system that we currently use today in modeling agencies.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And even certain TV presenters, they are aligned to a specific channel.
BBC or ITV, yeah. So a lot of people go, it's so archaic and she really changed the industry. I'm like, there's loads of examples where that exists even today.
And that hasn't changed.
Yeah.
That's a very good point.
And so at Fox, she is given teeny bitty roles at first, like really meaningless stuff. But in spite of that, Adam, by the end of the first year of her contract, she is getting 7,000 fan letters a week.
7,000 a week.
A week. Other actors are probably like, all I got was like a 50% voucher for acting classes. And she's getting 7,000 adoring letters every week for itty bitty, eeny weeny polka dot bikini roles.
Yeah, I guess she stands out, right? She's creating this huge fan base.
It's the on-screen presence that really shines through in spite of them just being these tiny little roles.
Is it that kind of popularity with the fan mail that actually the executives at the studio, do they go, actually, maybe we should give her a bigger part?
I mean, that's probably it. Yeah, it's probably going to account for it. But it's not just that. Like, her popularity obviously spills over outside of these fan letters as well, because also publications start noticing her as well.
Mm-hmm.
By her second year with Fox, Adam, she is officially a top-billed actress, yet she's never had a leading role. How does that even work? She's that popular as the side character, and she is then deemed as a top-billed actress.
So she's never the main female actor in these movies?
No. Not yet.
Interesting. Wow.
People are just like, look out for Marilyn, look out for Marilyn. So while they're watching this big feature film, everyone's always just watching out for when she's going to be in it. It's so bizarre.
Yeah.
Gossip columnist Flora Belle Muir names her It Girl of 1952. Another gossip columnist called Hedda Hopper. These names are crazy, aren't they?
Almost felt like they're out of Harry Potter.
Yes. He names her the Cheesecake Queen.
The Cheesecake Queen.
What do you think that means?
She would look great on a cheesecake.
Or cheesecake smeared all over her.
Yeah.
Actually, it's an old-timey term for pin-up from the 1920s before pin-up became the official term.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Hedda Hopper is a really old guy commentating on it. She is also named the best young box office personality by the Foreign Press Association for Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty big. And throughout this, her status is only elevated even more when Marilyn Monroe starts dating probably the most famous athlete in America at the time, retired New York Yankee Joe DiMaggio.
Joe DiMaggio, what did he
Baseball.
do? Baseball.
Adam, is like the equivalent of Taylor Swift dating Travis Kelce today.
Mm-hmm.
That's how big this is. It becomes one of the most publicized relationships in Hollywood. And so with all this attention, journalists, they start digging up stuff from her past, right? As they naturally do, because now she's this huge star. They find a bunch of new photographs that she did for a calendar in 1949. This is a big major scandal.
So is this before she was famous, I guess, when she was first spotted as a model?
Yeah. And like I said, huge scandal, especially at the time where you're supposed to have a very clear separation between doing Hollywood movies and then doing nude modeling. Like, the two don't go hand in hand. There are a few exceptions, but there's never, ever an overlap. Mm-hmm. So 20th Century Fox, they are thinking about ditching her. But then someone realizes that actually maybe they can use this to their advantage. And they have Marilyn do an interview where instead of denying the photos or trying to play it down, she actually speaks very candidly and openly about them, basically saying it was either do these photos or starve to death. And because people feel sorry for her, Adam, it works. Like, the story is still all over every single front page, but instead of being speculative or being scandalous, the coverage is actually really favorable towards her.
I guess it's showing that vulnerability, which people always look for.
Exactly.
I'm guessing she's been quite genuine. There's obviously a stage and probably, go with this angle. But is she playing it up, or was that just genuinely the truth?
It's a good question, actually, because remember, she was a successful model and she wasn't exactly starving. But that's the line that they threw out here. And the effect of this is huge. Suddenly, far more people are rushing to see her films again. And Adam, this is pure 1950s PR spin.
I was going to say, if anything, this will just make her more popular, right? Especially with the men, because they're going to probably be seeking out these photos.
Exactly. Yes. I have to say, please don't judge me. I'm not a pig. But for research purposes, I looked up these pictures. Adam, they are beautifully shot. They remind me of like vintage tattoos. It is that. And on top of that, Adam, they master the lighting. They master her composition. Adam, there is nothing that she has to be embarrassed about. They are so gorgeous. But with all this media attention on her sexuality and her beauty, Marilyn becomes really anxious that this is all that people are ever going to see in her. Mm-hmm. Like, she doesn't want to be known for just like being really beautiful or having these nude shots taken. She wants to actually prove that she has actual acting range. Fox, though, they are basically like, no, you are the blonde bombshell. That is what you are. And so Johnny starts speaking to other studios to see if they're willing to help out. It's tricky because she can't just go and work for another studio. So what he has to do is he has to find another studio that wants her badly enough to pay Fox to borrow her, essentially renting Marilyn out for a fee.
So this is almost like football,
Yeah.
where they do that with players, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was this common back then?
I guess it might be because this is an angle that he's pursued. When I was researching this, it didn't indicate that he had pioneered this move. I'm assuming this happens all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, they do find one studio that is interested. It's a studio called RKO, which is interesting because that is the same studio where her mum once worked as a negative cutter.
Oh, really?
The first film she stars in is Fritz Lang's Clash by Night, where she plays a factory worker in a fish cannery. So completely opposite of what she normally does. Not the blonde bombshell role that we normally associate her with. But the second film is a film called Don't Bother to Knock. What do you think that's about?
I bet it's like, just come right in. As in like...
Like you're on the loo.
I imagine I reckon it's about an affair. And it's about someone like, I'll just come right in. I'm ready for you.
You think?
Yeah.
Interesting. In it, she plays a mentally disturbed babysitter.
Okay.
Who is hired by a hotel singer, and the plot revolves around Marilyn's descent into delusion while watching the singer's niece and nephew overnight.
That doesn't sound like what I thought then.
No, it doesn't. So I don't know where it comes in. Now, Adam, I looked it up. I was only intending on watching like the first 5 minutes of it, right? I watched the entire thing.
And was it good?
Adam, it is so fucking good.
Really?
Yeah, I'm so shocked. Both films end up being these huge commercial successes. She has proved she has dynamic range. And so she thinks that Fox is going to now give her more serious roles rather than the usual bombshell roles that she's normally given. Mm-hmm. Fox are like, nah.
No, we've got a tried and tested formula. We're not breaking that.
Exactly. And so her next film with Fox were We're Not Married, where she plays a beauty pageant contestant. Mm-hmm. The film is created specifically so they can show her in a bathing suit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, sickos. The next is Monkey Business with Cary Grant. Again, blonde bombshell stereotype, where she plays a ditzy secretary who is completely unaware of the effect that her sexiness is having on all the men around her. Like men are literally falling into bins, walking into lampposts and stuff like that. She's just kind of just walking down the street unaware. I do feel awful for her at this time. She does try to reject some of the roles that she is given, but they just end up waiving her contracts in front of her. And like
you have to do X amount of movies a year. Yeah. This is it.
We own you, basically, is what they're saying.
Yeah.
There are a couple times where she just flat out refuses to do a film, and the studio, they suspend her.
Is this where she's known for being difficult then?
Yes, exactly. But they're saying here, if you don't want to work, then you do not get to work at all. And like, what can she do? She can't exactly go and work for another studio. She is almost a slave. She has no options.
Yeah. I think that's the thing, because there's always this assumption she was like an okay actress, but there's more about the image and just the publicity and everything else that kind of surrounded her and just her overall sort of personality. That's what made her a star. It wasn't always about these dramatic roles. I think I might have heard maybe one or two, but never really known her for those or anything.
Yeah. Like, it is strange to hear these things like, well, she was really into method acting.
I didn't know that.
Also, the fact that she is so tightly entwined to this typecast of blonde bombshell that it is difficult to kind of connect because it's associated with the ditzy kind of brain dead kind of personality.
Yeah, I thought she just played into it because that's what made her a success, not knowing that actually she wasn't necessarily happy with that all the while.
Yeah. And the reality is she is a really good actress. Like I said, in Don't Bother to Knock, I was really blown away with her acting. So there are some moments, I have watched a few of her films now, where I'm like, that was bad. And we'll come on to a couple of them in a minute.
But is that where she's playing the blonde bombshell, and so therefore it probably is?
It's the opposite. It's when she finally gets a chance to break out of this typecast, and she deliberately tries to not be the blonde bombshell, she's really bad.
Oh, okay.
And that's my opinion, because in that film that I was talking about, she actually does win a Golden Globe for it.
Oh, does she?
Yeah, her first one.
Well, then you know nothing.
Exactly. So what do I know? But it was just one scene that I watched where I was like, that was bad.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. A lot of people do criticize her acting ability. But from what I've seen, she is good. And I think it's a combination of things. Yes, there are areas where she is weaker. She is very dependent on her acting coaches, for one. And she is not great at remembering lines. But a lot of the criticism of her as an actress usually comes from what other actors see. Like, she is late a lot. Some days she doesn't even show up. Some people read this as being deeply unprofessional. But honestly, the way that I read it, especially when you put it alongside the fact that the studio were treating her like dirt at the time, refusing to give her the kind of roles that she'd already proved that she could master, is that a lot of this reputation is born out of protest against the studio.
Interesting.
So Her mindset seems to be, if you're not going to give me better roles and you're going to remind me constantly that I'm under contract and a slave to you, then I'm not exactly going to make things easy for you. But of course, the co-stars that are being invited in to work on these films with her, they go, she's a nightmare to work with.
Yeah, she's a diva.
The retakes, though, I think is a separate issue. Remember, she is not very confident. She does suffer from anxiety and she is a perfectionist. And so at the core of it, she was talented, but also fragile and coach dependent. So her reputation as unprofessional blends real mental health issues with a defiant pushback against the studio system.
So it's quite fractured then in terms of what people think of her. And that's quite interesting, actually.
And it's so concentrated in such a few amount of people. So when these actors, they go to other studios and stuff, they say, oh, I worked with so-and-so and she was difficult. Like, this reputation does follow around, but it is way more complicated than we initially think. Because a lot of her absence that kind of feeds into her reputation, she actually goes through a really, really difficult period of time where her health is real bad. And so some days she just doesn't show up. But she wants to keep that also very private. And so it just looks like she's not showing up.
And I imagine like she's working alongside a lot of top billing actors. And then if that word spreads or I don't want to work with her anymore, does that affect her chances in future roles?
100% it does. Yeah. And it does. But sadly, Marilyn never shakes this blonde bombshell typecast, no matter how hard she tries, ever.
I mean, that's what we still know her for. And
Exactly.
I wonder if she would even like that.
She tried for most of her career to break out of that. What she does do, though, is she actually moves through different tiers of this very sexualized image, which is interesting. First, of course, she's described as the cheesecake, the pinup. And then as her career takes off, she becomes the blonde bombshell. At this point in the story in 1953, she is about to take a step onto the next tier and become known as a full-blown sex symbol. And that is when she stars in a film called Niagara.
Okay.
So in it, Marilyn Monroe, she plays Rose Loomis. She is the seductive, scheming femme fatale who uses her allure to manipulate while plotting to murder her husband. Like, the film sounds amazing. I would watch it. In the film, there are scenes where she's basically covered in a bedsheet.
But like a ghost.
She's not playing a ghost. No. She's like laying on a bed. She's covered in the bedsheet.
So a sexy scene.
Yes, exactly. She's got like a cigarette in her hand, I think. And she's just seductively lying in bed. And for the time, Adam, this is very scandalous. Most people, mostly women, protest the film, but as a consequence of the Streisand effect sort of takes hold, it ends up attracting more attention to the film. And so the film ends up grossing $6 million at box office. That's $73 million today. All because of this scene, basically, and the scandal that this created of her laying in bed covered in a sheet naked.
All because of a bedsheet.
Yeah, not playing a ghost.
I'm guessing the bedsheet kind of clung to places to look.
Yeah, the images that I saw, they're black and white, so a little bit hazy, but she's just literally just on a bed, pure white hotel bed sheet.
Do you reckon she like pulled the sheet down and she's like fully clothed underneath? Like, there is nothing sexy about this.
Ball gown. But Niagara is also the film that firmly establishes the classic Marilyn look, like the white porcelain skin, the red lip, the platinum blonde hair.
So yeah, when did she get the blonde hair?
So she'd been blonde for quite a while, but it's the finished sculpted look, the silhouette that you imagine of Marilyn Monroe is now established in Niagara.
Okay.
So following this, she stars in a film called Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. Have you heard that one before?
I have heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably, these are now some of the iconic films that we might remember. Also, How to Marry a Millionaire, whose titles now all seem to be fitting with the actual plot. The plot of this is where Marilyn teams up with her friends to try and find rich husbands, basically.
Yeah.
These are the three films that cement that kind of sex symbol status, so much so that same year, a spunky new media entrepreneur, iconically known for wearing a dressing gown, decides to put Marilyn Monroe butt naked into the centerfold of the very first issue of his magazine, Playboy.
So is this another nude shoot or just like a scantily clad shoot?
The photos that he uses are the same photos from that 1949 scandalous photo shoot that Marilyn Monroe does when she is at her most destitute.
So does he buy them somehow then?
Yeah. At the time, she was paid $50. Hugh Hefner buys them for $500, which is $7,000 today, and then sticks them in the first ever issue of his magazine. He was like, the world needs to see these photos. And here's my issue with that. Marilyn Monroe has risen to such a height by this point, and yet you still have men now making millions of dollars out of the work that she did at a time when she was a nobody, when she, as a personality, was cheap, right? Like her work was cheap, and probably work that she wasn't proud of doing either.
And definitely didn't like sign up to be published in this like new magazine.
Exactly. And also, she doesn't have a say in any of this.
That's the worst bit, right? Like, she didn't get like a refusal or anything. If he just goes ahead and does this, that's really unfair.
The biggest thing for me is like, I was paid $50 for this. You bought them for $500 and then you made millions. You launched an entire probably billion-dollar brand.
Off of the back of me.
Off of the back of those photographs. And it just makes me a little bit angry.
Oh, yeah. She must have been pissed.
Yeah. And it's not just Hugh that's taken advantage. 20th Century Fox are at it too. By 1953, Adam, Marilyn Monroe is their biggest actress, but her contract has not been renegotiated in years, which means that while she might be their biggest star, she is not paid as if she is their biggest star. It's not just the money. Her contract, remember, doesn't let her choose her roles. She doesn't get to choose who she works with, and she's still boxed into this typecast as this blonde bombshell, now sex symbol. She is a huge star. She is just boxed in like a cow in a cattle ranch. So you can imagine how that must make her feel, right?
She must be so frustrated, yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, she does try to push back. She refuses films that she doesn't believe in, one of them being The Girl in the Pink Tights, which is meant to star Frank Sinatra. Like a lot of people would be like, it's a no-brainer because working with Frank Sinatra will instantly elevate your status. But Marilyn is not happy with the terms of that elevation. And so she doesn't want to climb up if it means doing it in this way, starring in this role that she doesn't believe in. And when she refuses, on multiple occasions, by the way, Fox, they just suspend her. And this is not just happening to Marilyn. Loads of actors at this point are being exploited in this way. What is cool, though, is that she is one of a small group of people at the time who are starting to really push back. As their contracts come up for renewal, they are demanding more money, fewer restrictions, more control. Marilyn is starting to realize, basically, that she is the star and not the studio. And so when she goes into these offices with these guys to say, I want more control, I don't want to do this film, she's basically saying, bring it on. So naturally, the studio, they hate this. And so after the suspension, they leak it to the media who go all in on their criticism of her. And for Fox, to them, this is a warning to the others saying, we are willing to literally destroy our biggest star and we will do the same to you.
Wow, so they're using her as a lesson. Watch out, other actors, because we'll tear you down. They're willing to cut profit from themselves to sustain their control. So what does Marilyn do when everyone starts to attack her?
So she's suspended. They have leaked the suspension to the media. They're going nuts. And so Marilyn, the very next day, announces that she and Joe DiMaggio will be getting married in 10 days.
So basically, she's going to crush that news with something way better.
Exactly. You want to write bad press about me? Fine. We're going to give the world a huge celebrity wedding.
Yeah, nice.
It goes fucking nuts. I wonder if Joe even had proposed at this point.
He's like, what? I'm doing what now? I was supposed to be playing golf that day.
Yeah. I like to think that he hadn't and that she just decided they were getting married. To me, that's what she would do. So following her marriage to Joe DiMaggio, like they have hardly any time for a honeymoon because she is immediately booked to fly out to Korea to sing to more than 60,000 US Marines stationed out there for the Korean War. And like even that, the press, they just go mental. Like every time she's in the paper doing something, it's just a whole new elevation of just going nuts. And it's because you've combined three things that Americans love the most in this world: Hollywood, patriotism, and war. And so it makes really good press. It causes such a buzz that when she gets back to Hollywood, based off of this and her presence and her kind of media reach, she is awarded Photoplay's Most Popular Female Star Prize. And so this is a serious award. Like it's up there kind of with the Golden Globes and the other big major awards. I don't think we have it anymore, but it was quite a serious award back then. Mm-hmm. And so all this self-driven PR causes Fox to stop and go, okay, we understand. you're the captain now. And so they go back to her, crawling on their hands and knees to renegotiate her contract.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, she is so smart.
She is. They promise that they will renegotiate terms later on that year when a contract comes up for renewal. They also promise her a bonus of $100,000, which is $1.2 million today, Adam.
Mm-hmm.
And they also give her a starring role in a film version of the Broadway play, The 7-Year Itch.
Ah, I have heard of this. I haven't seen it though.
Yes, which nobody knows it yet, Adam. But this is about to give us what has to be the most iconic Marilyn Monroe moment of her entire career.
Oh, hang on.
Do you know what I'm referring to?
It's from this movie where she's standing over a air grate or whatever grate with the dress flying up, right?
Yes. So in September of that year, filming starts. The 7-Year Itch is about a married man exploring his fleeting temptations towards another woman over a very hot, sweaty summer in New York City.
Okay.
Marilyn, of course, plays the other woman, obviously.
So she's still playing those kind of sexy roles, though.
Yeah, she can never shake it. She tries, and she does, but she never physically shakes the overarching typecast. Most of the film is shot on a set in Hollywood, but for one scene, they head east to Lexington Avenue in New York City. As they're getting ready to film, Marilyn Monroe is unintentionally standing on top of a subway grate, and as the train rolls under them, her white dress blows up, giving us that iconic image of her holding like her dress down as it's flying all over the place. And she's very naturally just like laughing. Do you know what I mean? And she's like, ah! And it's so natural and it's just like iconic.
So is that completely unplanned then?
Yes.
Or was that like, oh, we'll wait for the train to come up and see what
Nope.
happens?
Completely unintentional.
Really?
And so that expression on her face where she's laughing, that is just like, oh my God, what is happening?
But she didn't think to move, but she I guess, like, capitalize on it.
Yeah. Sadly, Adam, this photo that secures her legacy is the same photo that single-handedly destroys her marriage to Joe DiMaggio.
So was he jealous of that photo then?
He reportedly was disgusted by the picture.
Really?
Yeah. Adam, they were married for just 9 months.
And that ended it?
Pretty much, yeah. And it's such a shame because it was just such an accident, such a by chance moment. You know what I mean? But back in Hollywood, she files for divorce and she's just like, fuck you. A, it was an accident. And B, so what?
Yeah, I'm surprised. Is it just because she was showing too much skin?
Yeah. Like he was maybe more of a traditionalist. He was expecting her to be a bit more
Reserved, I guess?
Yeah, but she's a film star.
And like, you would have seen her movies before. She's obviously wearing quite skimpy outfits kind of
And
thing.
this is not exactly a skimpy outfit either, is it?
No, she's covered up. And I'm pretty sure she's got underwear on. And you can see it's quite big underwear. It's not like she's...
It's Bridget Jones underwear.
It's not like she's wearing nothing under there.
Exactly. And I don't think it's about that anyway. It's just the sensation that this image caused. But she got her own back because The 7-Year Itch goes on to make more than $5 million and is the biggest film of that year.
Wow.
And so, Adam, she is a huge star now. She absolutely understands the power of her image. Her contract is now also up. And also, as we know, she is really eager to start discussing those terms and that big fat bonus that Fox had promised her.
So she wants more money and serious roles or alternative roles for sure.
Fox, however, they're like, what are you talking about? We never discussed renegotiating your contract. $100,000? Who told you that? Did you get that in writing? This is it for Marilyn. She decides that along with her friend Milton Green, they're going to move out to the East Coast and they're going to start up their own production company called Marilyn Monroe Productions.
I mean, I doubt it took long to think of that.
Yeah.
If they were up all night.
What could we think about? So this means that she will have complete control over how she is typecast. She will be able to choose who she works with. And all of her work will be her own intellectual property. Literally, Fox Studios laughs at her. They have no faith that she can even do this. But here's the thing. Never once did Marilyn Monroe go back to them. Every single time, it was them crawling back to her. But they quickly forgot that, didn't they?
Interesting. So did she ever work for Fox again?
Well, let's go into it, right? So while she's in New York, she starts dating a few big players around town. She's the most eligible bachelorette on the planet. She is still sleeping with Joe DiMaggio, by the way, even though they're divorcing. But she also makes Marlon Brando one of her sex idiots, which he literally is. But the real curveball in the lineup of the men is a playwright called Arthur Miller. He is the exact opposite of the men that she usually goes for. For a start, he looks exactly like Woody Allen, if you can picture him. He's very cerebral, he's very sophisticated, very much part of that intellectual crowd.
Mm-hmm.
But for Marilyn, there is clearly something that she is not getting from the other men that she's dated. And I think, honestly, it's stability. But there's also the sense that he respected her. He saw her for what she was. And so Marilyn makes Arthur her third and final husband.
Oh, wow. On to number 3. She must get like a discount or something. She got like a stamp or something. Yeah.
Of course, as you can imagine, it is a huge story, but a controversial one too, mainly because the match is so perplexing to everyone. One of the headlines, which I read, was Egghead Weds Hourglass, which I think is a pretty great headline.
So they've just resorted to calling them shapes. I'm guessing he's bald.
No, egghead means smart. Oh. It's an old-timey term for have you never heard of the show Eggheads?
Yes, sorry, but I just thought he had like a pointy bald head.
No, he's got a full head of hair. But yeah, he's an egghead and she's an hourglass.
I see.
But Adam, it also sparks political controversy. Because Arthur is Jewish, Egypt decides to ban all Marilyn Monroe films in the country.
Because he's Jewish? Why?
Because they don't like Jews.
Oh.
Arabs and Jews, they typically have this kind of known rivalry or this known kind of beef with each other.
Yeah, I'd never know that they did that.
But also not just in Egypt. Back in the USA, Arthur is being investigated by the FBI over allegations that he was using his work as a playwright to distribute Soviet propaganda into America through Hollywood. It's serious enough for him to be subpoenaed as part of the McCarthy Red Scare movement that was happening in the 1940s and 50s. And because of their relationship, the FBI actually opened up a file on Marilyn Monroe as well. They think that she could be a spy. She could be working for the Soviets. They never find anything. But what's really incredible is that you can actually go and see on the FBI Vault website these files that they opened up on her. And they've got all this personal information that they've been trailing her and stuff. So it's really interesting.
But they never found anything.
Nothing. No, there was no credible evidence that she or he was involved in any kind of espionage or any kind of spying or anything. And so as Marilyn is setting up Marilyn Productions, it becomes very clear that she can't actually make this work.
Oh, why?
It's because she doesn't have enough money, which really devastates her. Remember, this is not just about wanting to take control of a brand and build something of her own. It's also about proving a point to Fox.
Mm-hmm.
Just as it starts to look like she might have to go back to Hollywood with her tail between her legs, Adam, surprise, surprise, 20th Century Fox comes crawling back to her on their hands and knees.
Clearly, I guess they keep realizing that she's so big. Like, why would they cut their nose off to spite their face?
Exactly. They're not learning their lesson, are they?
Mm.
Like, she is literally the captain now.
Yeah.
And so they're like, we will agree to anything. Anything that you want, we'll give it to you. And Marilyn is like, I don't really think that there's anything that you have that I want. And also, Marilyn Monroe Productions is gonna be huge.
So she's kind of bluffing a little bit at this point.
Exactly, yeah. But they're like, please, 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 we'll do anything. And she's like, anything? And in the end, they agree to a new 7-year contract on her terms. She demands her $100,000 bonus that they promised her initially, but also $100,000 for every subsequent film that she makes for them.
Ah, I see.
She also says that she'll only commit to 4 films upfront, which is smart because now they actually have to make sure that they're going to be good ones. They don't want to waste that opportunity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then she says that any other films that they want to do with her after those 4, that she can turn down if she wants to. So, Adam, this is massive. She guarantees herself $400,000, which is a shit ton of free time to finally make Marilyn Productions a reality, because she can just make these 4 films, and then the rest of the time, she can use that money to funnel into Marilyn Productions.
I see.
So it's a massive lifeline for her.
Mm-hmm.
But there is one small snag when it comes to setting up Marilyn Productions, because the lawyers turn to her and say, who the hell is this Marilyn Monroe person? That name doesn't exist as a legal entity.
Oh, because, yeah, she can't have it. She needs to have it in Norma Jean's name, right?
Exactly. And so, Adam, this is the year Marilyn Monroe legally becomes Marilyn Monroe.
Ah, so she actually, gets her stage name as her real name.
And so the first film that she makes under this new contract is a film called Bus Stop, where she plays Sherry, a saloon singer. Do you remember when I said I watched one of her films and it was just terrible? Mm-hmm. This is it.
Oh, okay.
And so she plays Sherry, a saloon singer who dreams of stardom, but her plans are complicated by the arrival of a naive cowboy who ends up falling in love with her. And again, remember, she has creative control now, right? She deliberately chooses not to play the blonde bombshell typecast. She deliberately makes sure that her makeup is muted. She dresses down. She also has this very, very bad Southern accent as well. It's an accent that someone might do if they were doing a parody of a Southern drawl. Adam, it is very funny. One of the characters says, "Shut the door, were you born in a barn?" And Marilyn says, "That's right, he was." It's really drawn out and long-winded.
Okay. So where was her acting coach at this point?
Exactly. She also decides that it's very important for the character to not be able to sing or dance very well, which sounds like something that you might say when the film comes out and people say the film's bad. And she's like, "Oh, I planned it that way."
Yeah.
But Adam, it ends up grossing $4.5 million. She gets nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Actress. And again, this is her opportunity to tell Fox, "See, I know what I'm doing. When you just let me do what I do, I can get nominated for Golden Globes."
Yeah, but are they going to be like, the only reason you got nominated was because of us? Like they were with the whole looks thing.
I mean, I'm not going to be surprised if people try to spin it, especially these studios. Do you know what I mean? So the money she gets from the 4 contracted films, she uses to start making films under Marilyn Monroe Productions. The first of these is The Prince and the Showgirl, which they actually film at Pinewood Studios here in England.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Did you know that? I had no idea that she worked outside of Hollywood like that.
Yeah, most of the time they're on the movie lot, right?
Yeah, that's right. The stage version starred Laurence Olivier, and so she thinks that he was going to be perfect for the film version, but also to take a part as a director and a producer since he has essentially lived and breathed this production before. Adam, it's a fucking funny film because, as you can imagine, it's obviously about a showgirl who gets involved with the prince. So it's very upper crust London society, but all the British upper crust actresses have all got very bad Cockney accents.
Upper crust?
Yeah.
Is that the way of saying it?
I would say so.
All I can think of is the place you get sandwiches.
No. But like the British elite. So they'd speak very softly, like the Queen. But no, every single character, other than the prince and stuff, has a Cockney accent.
That sounds odd.
It does. But bringing in Lawrence to produce is a massive mistake because they do not get on. He's annoyed by just how unprofessional she supposedly is on set. And again, it's because she's always off discussing scenes with acting coaches, which draws out scenes way longer than they need to be. At one point, Lawrence just loses it and he's like, "All you have to do is be sexy." From that moment on, for Marilyn, that is it. She's deliberately late. Some days she just doesn't come in at all, which we'll find out later on is actually for really private reasons. But Lawrence is like, "I will never work with this woman again." I mean, it's very funny. Not very professional, but it's very funny.
Yeah, but I mean, like, how many times can you do that before you stop getting work? I guess the thing is, right, the studios will tolerate this while someone is flavor of the month.
Sure.
As soon as, she's not that, then probably, you can't do that anymore.
But you're missing a big factor there. She is now essentially the CEO of her own business. She can do what she wants. She's such a big star now.
That's true.
But Adam, the reason why she's not showing up some days is because Marilyn Monroe has fallen into a massive depression. She and Arthur have been trying for a baby, but up to this point, she's had 3 miscarriages.
Oh, right. I didn't know that.
The most recent one was an ectopic pregnancy, which means that the egg is fertilized in the fallopian tube. And so after filming wraps, they go back to Hollywood and she disappears from public view for 2 years.
Really? That long?
Yeah. She does eventually come back, but it's also very clear that she's undergone a bit of a transformation. As an actress, she has a bit more of a maturity around her. Not that she's aged or anything, but like she takes things a lot more in her stride. She's obviously now running her own production company, of course, so she's got less to prove. She's riding on like proven credibility rather than this kind of need to please. Like she knows that she's got this. Her first film back is the Billy Wilder comedy called Some Like It Hot.
Ah.
Oh, you know this one?
I've watched this one.
Have you?
Yeah.
I've not seen it. It sounds funny.
It is pretty funny. It's about, I can't remember the 2 male actors.
Joe and Jerry.
Yeah, so I think they see some crime being committed because they're part of the mob. They're criminals themselves. And so they go on the run and they ended up like pretending to be women. So they're dressed up. They're not very convincing women, I'll be honest.
No.
And I think one of them then starts to fall in love with Marilyn Monroe's character.
Sugarcane.
Sugarcane, of all the names, Sugarcane.
So she's the typecast as the dumb blonde in this as well.
Yeah, which maybe for a comeback movie, maybe that's quite a good move sort of thing. There's like scenes where I think obviously they've got to stop themselves from flirting with another woman.
I see.
I can't remember how it ends, but it is quite good. I think it got a lot of awards for being a really good comedy. I don't know if she got an award for this or not.
But it is interesting how she broke that rule about not wanting to be typecast as a blonde bombshell. But there is a very good reason for that. And it's because she is offered 10% of the film's profits on top of her normal pay. So like, yes, you can have principles, but babe, there ain't nothing someone won't do for a tuppence on the dollar.
I mean, if she's getting 10% of profits, I don't know if that's gross profit or net profit, but that makes a few million.
Yeah.
She's going to earn more than 100,000 like fee per film.
That's right. And in the film, she stars alongside Tony Curtis. But the thing is, though, they don't get on at all for much of the same reasons that we previously stated. She's late, dependent on kind of coaches, demanding retakes. He says he hated her so much that kissing her was like kissing Hitler.
Wow.
Which I can only assume is referring to her moustache.
She is famous for bleaching a mustache.
Yeah. You did say earlier when we were talking about her being adopted from the orphanage, it's because she was furry.
I think that was linked to Stuart Little.
But there must be method in her perceived difficulty on set, because following the release of this film, Marilyn Monroe's performance earns her a Golden Globe for Best Actress in this film.
Told you, I knew it was a big deal. That's why I watched this movie.
It does look really funny, and it's quite interesting for the time. They're obviously taking the piss out of kind of gender roles and gender norms, but still, I think there must be some kind of pioneering element to that. But they are the butt of the joke, though, so maybe not. I haven't seen the film, so I can't quite judge.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's not like White Chicks or anything like that. It's just two men dressed up.
Dressed up as 1920s flappers. So like I said, she does have this bad reputation, but I still think it's born out of her unconventional methods, basically, as an actress. But just to drum home how this is starting to impact her reputation, believe it or not, Breakfast at Tiffany's, starring Audrey Hepburn, was initially offered to Marilyn Monroe. But in the end, producers were like, really, do we really want the drama? And so they gave it to Audrey Hepburn.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? That's one of the biggest classic films of like the last 100 years. And it almost went to Marilyn Monroe.
And that's what Audrey Hepburn, there's the classic images of her, right, from that movie.
Can you imagine
So that
Marilyn
wouldn't have
Monroe?
happened.
Yeah, it wouldn't have. History would have been completely rewritten.
It's not to say that Marilyn hasn't had her own fame, but that was...
True. But
yeah.
I can't imagine Marilyn Monroe in that role because it's so associated with Audrey Hepburn. But we could be living in a different timeline.
But this is what I mean. Like, that news will spread about the fact that she's difficult or late, essentially, to work with.
Yeah.
So that would have eventually hampered her at some point. It perhaps didn't, because obviously she died.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And so, Adam, it's now 1961. Marilyn is making a film called The Misfits, and it's actually written by Arthur Miller himself for her. She is a little incensed that the script feels a little too specific to her, but it also cuts a little bit too close to the bone in a way that she's not really quite happy with. She doesn't read into it too much until one day she finds Arthur's journal where he had written that he was disappointed by her intellect and that he feared that their marriage was stifling his creativity.
Really? Wow, to find that must have been like heart-wrenching.
He also talks about her repeated miscarriages, and it's not clear whether or not he blames her for these, but he also talks about her substance abuse. And when I read that, it did make me feel really sad because, like, dude, she's had 3 miscarriages. Maybe all she needed was like some support from you. But also to bring up her intellect is so shit. I think, if anything, her actions show a degree of brilliance in how she's able to use precisely what people thought of her, that underestimation, to her own gain. And I think that actually is really savvy in itself and demonstrates a degree of intellect.
Yeah, it might not be, I don't know, book smart.
It's Hollywood smart. She is a PR super queen.
Exactly. Gotta appreciate people's strengths, right?
Either way, reading this leaves Marilyn heartbroken. You definitely get the sense, remember, that she didn't marry Arthur for status or looks. She didn't need to. She married him for love. By reading this, she realizes that he didn't love her in the way that she loved him. And so by the time they wrap up filming The Misfits, their marriage is essentially over.
That's sad.
And we didn't really cover her substance abuse, but it is a real defining part of her life, especially from 1961 onwards. For a few years now, she's been highly dependent on barbiturates, which is a sort of type of tranquilizer.
Is that to help her sleep then or something?
All sorts of things. It was partly to manage gallstone pain, but also as a result of the anxiety from the industry that she was in. She was constantly being judged and underestimated, told constantly that she's not good enough.
How long has she been on these then? You mentioned from 1961, but like had these played a part before then?
I think, again, like I said, it was from the gallstone pain, which happened before, obviously, the failed pregnancies. And then throughout the pregnancy, she was using them. And I think what she found is that they didn't just help with her pain, but they also helped with her anxiety. And so she just became more and more dependent on them. And when your character is defined by anxiety and you're in an industry where that anxiety is always brought to the forefront, in order for you to perform, you want to suppress that as much as you can. So I get it, and I can see how she could quickly become dependent on that. But I think the catalyst there is the grief and the anxiety. But remember, to sum it up, she is not suited for this life. But getting out at this point is just not an option. And so the next best thing is just to numb the pain, especially from not being able to give Arthur a child. I definitely get the sense that plays a big part in it.
Yeah, I guess to her, like, she can't start a family. Perhaps she wants to be a mother. She can't make Arthur a father. And with just all the other noise and the pressure of Hollywood.
Yeah, it's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Adam, to give you a sense of just how bad her addiction got, at times her makeup artists are forced to apply her makeup and dress her while she's asleep.
So she must be out of it a lot of the time.
Yes. And so in January 1961, her divorce is finalized. The next year is really rough for her. She becomes more and more dependent on the drugs, and she starts making very questionable choices, especially when she decides to pose nude. And those images end up being published in Life magazine, which is a first for an active Hollywood star at the height of their career. And it's really interesting because today, that moment is often framed as her taking agency over her body and her image. But honestly, Adam, I did not see it that way. I think this is something that she would have massively regretted. Remember, this is a time when she's heavily addicted to tranquilizers. There are days where she cannot even get out of bed. She's also drinking a lot. She's in and out of rehab. I honestly think that if she weren't struggling with the drugs, she would not have done that shoot.
Oh, yeah, I'm really surprised by that because what's there to get? Like, she's obviously getting a lot of money from her film contract. It's not like she needs that money, it doesn't sound.
Yeah, it's a miscalculation. And so it's not a moment that I think decades later she would want people celebrating as some form of female empowerment kind of move.
But a lot of people do think that?
Yeah, a lot of people do because they see her as this kind of like this feminist icon, especially what she's done in terms of moving the industry forward for female artists. So I get it, but I don't think this is one of the examples that people should use. And also remember, there is evidence that shoot actually blindsided her. She just wrapped up filming a movie. Photographers were there, and maybe it was the drugs, maybe it was the alcohol, but it ended with her doing this shoot following the wrap-up party.
Yeah, that sounds a bit odd.
Yeah, it was completely impromptu. So I don't think she was thinking.
What did people think of at the time when it was released then?
It's a very good question. I imagine there was a bit of controversy around it. And again, this is all going to compound itself because she has to now deal with the fallout of this, right? And so, Adam, this now moves us on to May 1962. And this is the moment in her timeline that brings us to the final iconic moment of her life. The one that ends up giving birth to 90% of the conspiracy theories surrounding her eventual death. Marilyn Monroe is invited to perform at Madison Square Gardens to sing Happy Birthday to one of the most famous men in the world, JFK.
Oh, so her famous Happy Birthday, which people have reenacted for like decades.
Yes, that was my next line. What do you know about this story?
Well, I've already said it.
So at the time, Marilyn is very friendly with a guy called Peter Lawford, who is a member of the Rat Pack. So he's a fellow actor. He ends up marrying Patricia Kennedy, who is JFK's sister. And it's through this connection that Marilyn crosses paths with JFK on a couple of occasions. Now, I am talking, and I want to be very explicit with this, because I've checked, I've double-checked, I've checked everything. I'm talking very brief handshakes in like lineups where there's been a bunch of other people there. Eventually, Peter Lawford invites her to perform at Madison Square Gardens. And of course, iconically, Marilyn Monroe wears that sheer rhinestone-covered gown that Kim Kardashian famously was sported wearing at the Met Gala in 2022. She reportedly arrives late, except she isn't late at all. It's all planned for comic effect, leaning into that reputation that she now has
Oh, I
of
see.
always being late. Because on stage, Peter Lawford, he'll like announce her like 3 times. The spotlight comes on and she isn't standing under it. Eventually announces her again. There she is. And in a sort of dark foreshadowing, Peter Lawford says, Mr. President, the late Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, I guess it's not long after she dies, right?
Adam, 3 months later, Marilyn Monroe will be dead.
That soon after. Wow.
What a weird moment. Do you know what I mean? But she comes out, she sings Happy Birthday. It's very slow, it's very breathy, very seductive. We all know this iconic moment. And Adam, what you are left with is this public fantasy of 2 of the most glamorous people in America, Marilyn Monroe and JFK, and the idea that they're possibly doing the sex.
After this one performance? Wow, it must have been quite a performance then. Well, I've seen it, but...
I think it's just their status, right? He is one of the most famous people. She is one of the most famous actresses. And this idea that she sung the song very breathy, very seductively, you can't help people's imaginations running wild with them and then someone speculating that,
they're doing it.
they're doing it.
But it's like the wife is just there. It's just like, if she's sitting there going, what's going on with you two?
Yeah. The reality is they were not. It couldn't be further from the truth. Like I said, they'd only met a couple times in public, brief handshakes, and that was it. There was the Netflix famous film with called Blonde, where there's that flashback scene where you see her walking into JFK's apartment. He's on the phone. He points down to his crotch, and then you just see a head going down. That is all fictionalized. It's all leaning into this fantasy that was around at that time, but there's no evidence or truth to it whatsoever.
But we know that he did have affairs, don't we?
Yeah, but definitely not with Marilyn Monroe. And like I said, Adam, it's because she is barely sober long enough to even get dressed, let alone carry on an affair. Her makeup artist is putting on her face while she sleeps.
So is that why she sings the way she does? Because she's high?
You trying to say that this could be her Amy Winehouse moment?
Yeah, because I guess the way she sings it, like, I don't think anyone sang Happy Birthday like that up until this point. I could be wrong. So was that all the fact that she was, slightly drowsy, not quite lucid or...
Yeah, I'm going to say this. Before I watched it, yes, I was going, that's why she was so breathy and like seductive, is because she was high. I did watch it, it's not. That's clearly an act. Because at the same time, you also see her bouncing on stage and she's like really happy and she comes out and she's being really cheeky. She seems very lucid in that moment.
Okay, fine.
But the trouble is definitely behind the scenes.
So she's putting on this big act in front if she's just been dressed by her assistants.
Yeah. When Marilyn comes back to Hollywood, she gets increasingly more and more withdrawn. It becomes a massive problem for 20th Century Fox, who are now falling behind filming schedules, which means, Adam, of course, they're losing a ton of money. At this time, they were struggling to cover the cost of Cleopatra, which I think even today is one of the most expensive films that has ever been made in history.
Oh, okay. So they needed to be making some other movies to cash roll that. Probably.
Yeah. And remember, they're already in the studio, right? So they need to set up the studio for this particular film. Once that's done, they dismantle that, they get ready for the next one. And if she's late all the time, they can't do that.
Yeah.
So there's like a backlog of films that they need to make. And so with Marilyn AWOL, on the 7th of June, 1962, Fox sack her.
Do they?
Not only that, they also sue her for $750,000 in damages, which is $8 million today. And then they follow up with their usual smear campaign saying that they sacked her because she was mentally disturbed.
That's like more than the deal that they're suing her for, right? But then I guess they're saying...
Lost revenue, right?
Yeah, that's it.
And the reality is, at this moment in time, like Marilyn, you would expect her to go off and do her own PR move, right? She does not have the energy to fight it. Which brings us, Adam, to the 6th of August, 1962, when Marilyn's housekeeper, Eunice Murray, was staying over at Marilyn's house at 12305 5th Helena Drive in Brentwood. Eunice says she woke up at 3 a.m. in the morning, feeling like something was wrong. From under Marilyn's bedroom door, she could see that the light was still on, but the door was locked and Marilyn wasn't responding. She decides to call Marilyn's psychiatrist, a guy called Dr. Ralph Greason, and soon after arriving, he breaks down the door and they find Marilyn Monroe dead on her bed.
So she locked herself in that room. What, an overdose?
Yeah, cops eventually find empty medicine bottles near her bed, and based on the number of pills that they find in her stomach, it's clear to them that she deliberately killed herself.
Wow.
And at the time, she's just 37 years old.
I felt like she was older than that.
Yeah, you do, don't you? 37 is young.
She fitted a lot into her life. It felt quite up and down. It didn't feel stable whatsoever. She had some really high highs and some terrible lows.
That's right. Everything that she was dealing with, her divorce, the grief from her miscarriages, being sacked, the $750,000 lawsuit, she just didn't want it to go on anymore. On her death certificate, though, and this is a big thing that feeds into a lot of the conspiracy theories, her death is documented as probable suicide. And so that leaves it open for conspiracy theories.
But who would want her dead, though?
That's the thing. And so, on the 8th of August, Marilyn was interred in crypt number 24 at Prince Brothers Westwood Village Memorial Park Cemetery. There were just 30 people in attendance, mostly close friends and family. It's Joe DiMaggio who is the one who actually arranges and pays for the funeral, so he clearly cared a lot about her still.
It's not even the third husband.
No. Where's Arthur?
Yeah.
And her grave has turned into a shrine to her. You can actually still go and visit it, and you can actually see it on Google Street View. And Adam, it's sort of like an above ground tomb in the wall kind of thing. Mm-hmm. There are people above her, people below her, and all over it, there are kisses on it. They'll arrive, put on red lipstick, and they'll just kiss the grave.
Oh.
So you've got the caretaker just constantly has to clean it all off. But hers is the only one that's got like pictures and flowers, and then you've got these other lonely graves just all around it. It's quite sad.
Yeah, but I don't know. She obviously touched a lot of people's lives, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. And of course, Marilyn Monroe has left an incredible legacy behind, right? She did 29 films across 3 decades. She helped pioneer massive changes in the Hollywood system. She's an absolute PR master. I just love the sort of cat and mouse game between her and Fox. In their pursuit to try and control her, they always ended up crawling back. Brilliant.
Yeah, I wonder if they ever would have done. Obviously, she really pissed them off towards the end. And if they had have successfully sued her, she probably would have never gone back anyway. It's interesting to try and work out how would her life have played out had she not got that divorce or third divorce, or if she had a child, if she didn't have that depression, could it have gone down a different path?
Yeah. But of course, as we know, when someone as famous as Marilyn Monroe dies, someone with such a high degree of public interest, there are always conspiracy theories that emerge. And what is interesting is that when it comes to Marilyn Monroe, all the conspiracies seem to revolve around something that has absolutely nothing to do with her, but everything to do with the public fantasy of her. Remember, her death came 3 months after singing Happy Birthday to one of the most famous men in the world. And so immediately following this, the world wanted to believe that there was a connection between them. It didn't make sense that she should sing Happy Birthday in such a seductive way and that nothing was possibly going on between them. The key theory is that JFK or the Kennedys had something to do with her death.
I mean, that feels like a bit of a stretch, like one birthday song, and they're like, nope, we have to get rid of her.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, this is the imagination that she managed to capture in the public's view all those years ago.
And so the public are thinking, oh, she's let on that there's an affair.
Mm-hmm.
JFK's not going to want that, so he's going to put a hit on her.
Well, the key theories was that JFK's brother, Robert Kennedy, was the one who killed her. Apparently, he knew about her and his brother doing the sex. And thinking this was going to be bad for the family, he ordered her to be killed. But over time, this theory then ended up being enriched into this theory that JFK had told Marilyn Monroe that he was going to invade Cuba. And so RFK ordered her death to prevent her from telling anyone.
Like she's going to go round. She's got other things to think about, I feel, right now.
Yeah.
Not about the war with Cuba.
Yeah, but the public don't know this. And so people want to believe this.
I'm sorry, but the people around the time, not that smart.
He also apparently had the means because he was Attorney General at the time, and so he could control the CIA and he could order them to do this. But another theory, which I absolutely prescribe to, is that JFK, in a lustful trance, had told Marilyn too much about aliens and the truth about what happened at Roswell. And so JFK and RFK teamed up to murder her.
Yep, cracked it.
But it is so strange that so many of the conspiracy theories revolve around JFK, right?
Because if she had not done that performance, but she obviously still got sacked and everything, probably still would have ended up the same thing. So what would have been the conspiracy
Exactly, yeah. Because she's the most famous woman in the world.
Yeah, how about actually the trauma and everything else that she's trying to deal with? Let's maybe look at that.
And that is it. The reality is that this is a woman who was troubled, was a product of her upbringing, and was thrust into a world that maybe she wasn't equipped for. Don't get me wrong, she did excel, she did pioneer, she demonstrated strength and resilience. But when every day is a fight, it's only a matter of time before you lose steam. And I think that is exactly what happened. The reality is that the thing that ultimately killed her was a broken heart, the grief of 3 miscarriages, the pressure of having to live up to Hollywood's misogynistic expectations, but also the man that she loved did not believe in her. And you can imagine all of those things are major steam killers.
Especially as they're all within quite a close proximity of happening. That's going to be overwhelming.
Yeah, very short space of time. And Adam, that is the story of Marilyn Monroe.
Wow. Do you know what? I didn't know as much of her life. Like, I think she's immortalized in this kind of legend status, right? And we know, okay, she had a shorter life. She had a sad ending. But actually, I didn't really know so much about her early life and just the challenges that she had with Hollywood and how she overcame them herself.
Yeah, that's it. And that's the stark thing in the story, is that there is a very clear line, once you know her story, between her public image and who she actually was. And we know that so much of her was manufactured to a degree. And I don't mean that in any disrespect whatsoever. She is a woman who's extremely ambitious, wants to make it, and is willing to make these changes. And for the better. She had a brilliant life, but she also had her struggles in between. And it's just sad that she was thrust into an industry that maybe naively she didn't know that she wasn't really equipped for.
Or she didn't have the support system, particularly from her husband, for example, to help her through that. Like, who's to say that she couldn't have done it because actually she had negotiated deals and whatever it was with these Hollywood studios. She had pushed forward.
Yeah.
She just needed some people close to her to support her, I think.
Yeah. And I think she did have those people to a degree. For a long time, she was very close to Joe DiMaggio. She was very close to Miller. But the thing is, though, it's a classic thing, right? 1950s men, they're intimidated by powerful women. They can't handle it.
Yeah, one of them dumps her because of a spontaneous photo shoot. And then the other one's, oh, you're not smart enough.
Sad, isn't it? But yeah, that's our story of Marilyn Monroe.
Good story.
Do you fancy doing some member shout-outs?
Let's do it. So this is the part of the show where we remind you that the Compendium is not just a podcast. It is also, for reasons that remain legally and spiritually unclear, we're a legally regulated place of work who is hiring.
So guys, make sure you head over to the Compendium Podcast, click the Jobs tab in the footer, where you can browse through our growing collection of deeply bureaucratic circus roles.
And they're all genuine, legitimate roles, which you would find on any job board.
Yeah, why would you not want to apply for them? So guys, make sure you pick your favorite role, apply for it, and tell us exactly what you do in your position day to day. And of course, every week we'll pick our favorite submission and read it on the show, which means it's now time to shine that glorious spotlight on this week's star employee, who is Kelsey DeMarco, our night shift spotlight apology writer.
Okay, I'm going to need some more information on this one. I did not sign off this role.
So Kelsey serves as the Night Shift Spotlight Apology Writer, a role responsible for drafting formal apologies to anyone unexpectedly illuminated.
I'm really sorry. You should have been left in the dark.
This includes issuing templates for accidental hero moments, haunting-related glare, and any other lighting offences requiring immediate regret.
Okay.
She also works overnight to preempt spotlight incidents, coordinate with spotlight ops to reduce repeat offences, and ensure every apology contains sincerity and plausible deniability. The salary is $75,000 plus a confetti allowance.
How much confetti exactly?
A bushel.
Every month.
We asked Kelsey what her general approach to responsibility is, and she said reluctantly but loudly.
Okay, good.
In a crisis, she is more likely to take charge immediately, and her favorite host is that she can never choose.
Right answer.
And so, Adam, do you want to tell us about Kelsey's day-to-day responsibilities?
Well, she says her nightly duties involve issuing apologies to the victims of unexpected spotlight exposure, usually accompanied by a $1 popcorn discount, and where appropriate, a cold compress for the eyes.
It's too much.
She may also perform a ceremonial firing of the spotlight operator, though she clarifies this is largely for show and generally ends in a stern talking to.
Aww.
And on occasion, some cotton candy. She also lists heavy sighing as a key part of the role.
Not again.
In terms of major incidents, there was the mishap of 25, where Kelsey says that it was a defining incident in her professional history, describing it as the night an elephant was temporarily blinded and very nearly trampled a poor turtle. She notes that it was a dark day at the circus, 7 children were horrified, and crucially, the turtle was fine. She swears. Not
She
replaced.
swears. I love the idea of children being horrified because it's not really something that you think of a child being. Horrified.
They scream.
They do, but are they horrified?
In terms of her KPIs, she says that she reports that she has upgraded the department stationery and that future apologies will now be written in colourful ink, possibly with silly stickers. And this appears to be the full extent of the current strategic plan. I think that's it. Job done.
Yeah.
Go home.
That's it.
Leave work for the day. Final assessment, she says that she brings urgency, volume, and a visible commitment to performative accountability. Her apology process may lack polish, but it does appear to arrive quickly, loudly, and with discounted popcorn.
Oh, that's what she means by volume. Screaming at people. She's a screamer.
Have this discount.
Yeah. Guys, so if you want to be featured on a future episode, then remember to head over to the Companion Podcast and click the jobs link in the footer and send us your application. We will read the best ones on a future episode.
Shall we run the outro?
Let's run the outro for this week. And so that brings us to the end of another fascinating foray into the compendium, an assembly of fascinating things.
And if today's episode has sparked your curiosity, then please do us a favor and follow us on your favorite podcast app. It truly makes a world of difference and helps more people discover the show.
And for our dedicated freaks out there, don't forget that next week's episode is already waiting for you on our Patreon. And as always, it is completely free to access.
And if you want even more, including that crotch dangler, then you can join our Certified Freaks tier to unlock the entire archive, delve into exclusive content, and get a sneak peek at what's coming next.
We drop new episodes every Tuesday. And until then, remember, being adored is not the same as being seen. We'll see you next time.
See ya.